The T110E5 is an American Tier 10 heavy tank. It was developed in 1952 as a heavy tank with more powerful armament compared to the M103. Some restrictions were placed on the vehicle sizing as the tank was supposed to pass through the narrow tunnels of the Bernese Alps. Several designs were considered, but the project was eventually cancelled. No vehicles were ever manufactured. In World of Tanks, this tank replaced the T-30 in the batch 9.72, but let's see how it fares in some gameplay. Hello guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks Ace Tanker series. As you can see, today we'll be driving the T110E5, and driving the T110E5 is 8ur4zCRO. He is also platooned with a Tier 9 Chinese heavy tank, that's Mirza in his WZ-111-14, and with a artillery Tier 8, so driving the artillery is Danny, and this is a really strange platoon, and I have to say immediately at the start of the battle that with the recent changes that the Wargaming has introduced to platoon matchmaking, you really should be careful when picking up tanks, as you're not going to get those credits that they decided to give for correctly making platoons, so making platoons of the same tier. We can see that 8ur4z is taking a nice position here on the map Pilsen. This is a known position for a heavy tank to try and defend this flank, and well, usually what happens on this side, the heavy tanks are trying to push through the 1, 2 and 3 lines, where the artillery is trying to support them, as you can see on the A1 and A3. And the medium tanks decide to go usually to the 0 line, but you can see that there are no medium tanks on their side, so if the enemy try to rush the 0 line, they will be able to get there and kill the friendly artillery with quite an ease. Now it's a really nice position here by 8ur4z, from which he was able to shoot into the factories here and put a shot in that Badger that was trying to cross over. This is what I was talking about, the artillery cover. You saw how the artillery, that's the T-92, had a shot there on the E100, so when you're trying to fight on these two corners, you have to be careful for the artillery on the enemy team that can shot you here. And you can see that 8ur4zCRO is making sure that he is always in the artillery cover. So he goes forward, pops up, sees if there is something on the other side, and after that goes back into RT safe. Now, as you can see, the game is not going very well for them on the other side. They lost the artillery, and the second ally is lost also to the T-57 heavy. So 8ur4zCRO decides to go back and try and help these heavy tanks that have been defending against the mediums on the other side. Now you can see that the battle is happening here on the middle of the map, which is, well, I have to say, quite strange, because I really didn't see a lot of those battles coming around on this map. Usually what happens, the mediums push one side, the heavies push the other side, and whoever cleans the one side finds the team and finishes the game. But you can see that the gameplay has been slightly different here, and that the enemies and the friendlies are trying to fight off in this big middle factory, and the positioning of 8ur4z is pretty nice. He can defend both on the medium side, and he can, as you can see, help his friendlies that are in the factory by shooting on the other enemy tanks. So great positioning here to help on two sides. He has some cover from that tank next to him to, well, not to get shot by the medium tanks, and he is sniping now on the heavies. But it looks like that the medium tanks have decided to pull back, and we can see that the friendly tanks are going to be soon dead in the middle of the middle factory. So 8ur4z is trying to do the best thing that he can do here to help his WZ friend, but he's not only able to keep this E75 and the MX-50B out of the fight for a couple of minutes, and the WZ is going to be finished quite quickly here. But that doesn't mean that 8ur4z is done with the other tanks on the enemy side. Now he finds a nice shot on this Skoda, It's an easy target to penetrate. He goes for the Skoda first because on this kind of ranges it is pretty hard to penetrate the E100. Now he is trying to go for the E100. The E100 gives him the lower plate, which is really nice, and he finishes the E100 with ease. We can see that the MX-50B is trying to flank. That's not something that he has to be worried about because he has the E100 defending that corner. The thing that he has to be worried about is this grille that is trying to find a shot on him and, well, basically trying to put some cheeky shots on the side of the E5 and try and finish him that way. He finds a pretty nice part of rubble here, stays in, covers his lower plate and goes for the grille, but the grille decides to shoot one over, and I believe he was shooting at the E100, didn't really see that one. And he is now on the run. Well, Bruiser has his, well, almost all, well, he has all of his HP. He wasn't taking any shots except for that shot which killed his radio, but it really doesn't matter in this small map. As you can see here, he finds the tanks easily. Now he finds that grille, that's his third kill. And now it is a question what he will do next. He'll probably go for the Jag Tiger next, because it's a lone target fighting against a friendly grille, and the E100 is left alone to fight with the 75 and the E100 on the enemy side. So I didn't talk much about the E5. We already had a couple of videos explaining what the advantages and the disadvantages of these tanks are. If you can say that this tank has a disadvantage, in my opinion it's pretty OP, because with the HD model that the tank received, it has a lot of zones to shoot at, and you really are going to struggle and find the weak points on this tank. A quick hit into the superstructure of the Jag Tiger finishes them off quickly, and now they are 3 versus 3, which is pretty nice. They were losing a couple of tanks behind, and now they are in a nice position to actually win this one. So yeah, I was talking about the E5. It's a side of a E100. Heat shot on the side skirts of the E100, not that nice. He gets a shot from the E100 into his, I believe it was in his side armor, but he shot through the cupola of the E100, really easy to go through. Now the grille is flanking the E100. He can finish him off with one shot, but I don't know what that grille did. He was able to, well, not penetrate the E100 from the side. E100 finishes off the grille, and Bruiser finishes off the E100 for his 5th kill. Now it's time to go for the artillery. As you can see, he is loading HE here. Pretty smart, because the artillery has enough health to survive one shot from the E5. Puts one shot, didn't penetrate, but as you saw there, the artillery was shooting AP shells, and the excellent armor on the E5 managed to bounce 370 millimeters of penetration on that shell. Oh my god. And now some people like to say that this tank is not OP. I always will say that this tank is so OP that it can bounce 370 millimeters of shells. So yeah, that's what you get with this tank. Well, to be fair, the tank has some of the weak points. The small cupola on top of the cupola, so yeah, the commander's hatch is not a weak point. Let's just see what happens with the C75. Now he is in a great position here. He is held down using the 8 degrees of gun depression on this tank, shooting heat through the lower plate of the E75 pretty easily to go there and finish him off. But what is he doing now? Either his game is bugged or he is doing a cheeky thing here, trying to, well, it looks like he is going to go for the Fadin's medal. And that means that we are going to see him firing a couple of shots on the 75, well, firing a couple of shots into the ground before going for the 75. Yeah, now you may debate that this is not probably the, how should you say, most the best way to get the Fadin's medal, but it's certainly a way to get to a position to get the Fadin's medal. So yeah, he had a 17 shells to fire, and now we are going to witness him shooting 16 shells, like quite in this, yeah, in the ground, and waiting for the last shell for the 75. Now that's something that I would probably not do, because what if you miss that last shell? And on one note, he did make a mistake here because he fired off his heat shells. If he was trying to go for the Fadin's medal, he should have taken the best shell for the last, that's the heat shell, and with that a lot of flat armor on the 75, that would probably be the best choice. Now, not leaving the HE shell for the last shell is also a good tactic. What if the 75 somehow miraculously bounces a HE shell and doesn't get hit for 74 HP that's left on him? That is something that you have to be careful also. So now we can see that he is moving forward, going for the E75. He decides to take an alternate route here on the side of the E75 and try and finish him that way. Only 3 shells left, and we will see if he manages to finish off that E75. Now the E75 puts one great shot in him, into his commander. If he is going to repair it, he has to do it now. Only 2 shells left, 1 shell left, and let's see if he wins the Fadin's medal at the end. What do you think? Will he be able to penetrate the 75, or will he dunk the shell? Yeah, bounces the shell from the 75, and the 75 presents the lower plate. That's a GG, and let's take a look at the post-game stats. Buraz had a really nice game here. He got a couple of medals like Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Shellproof, Fadin's medal for the last kill with the last shell, High Caliber, Top Gun, and of course the Master Badge Ace Tanker. On the team score sheet, you can see that he finished first with 1355 experience, 7 kills, and 6700 damage. On the detailed report, you can see that he fired 42 shots, of which 24 hit the target and 20 penetrated. Now bear in mind that he didn't miss that much, he mostly fired those shots into the ground. He was also able to bounce 4300 damage, and with the premium account he was able to lose a couple of thousand credits. Now let's just take a look back at what we saw in this gameplay. Now we saw excellent positioning at the beginning of the map and a couple of cheeky shots on the passive enemy tanks. After he saw the other side was falling, he decided to go back, and by doing so he was able to put off the attack from the medium tanks and also help on the heavy tanks that were fighting off in the middle of the map. At the end he was able to find the remaining tanks and finish them off one by one, and fighting off with the 75 was pretty easy from the hull down position, and with the last shell he was able to score the Fadin's medal. As always guys, I hope you liked the video. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you have a comment about the video, leave it in the comment section down below. If you are wondering what to watch next, you can take a look at the top right corner. It will be a link to another gameplay. If you have some awesome gameplay like this, send it to me on the social media. You can find the links in the section down below. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.